This is In My Lounge Room, and I'm your host, Skye.
And I'm your other host, Damo. And on this week's episode, we'll be revisiting catfishing.
Hey, Damo.
Hey, Skye, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm healthy.
No, I was going to say, you sound clear. We're in the same room.
I know. I'm not dying.
No, it's excellent. Well, hopefully you were never dying to start with. But,
that's true. Yeah,
I
wasn't.
I over-dramatize things. Yeah, and the kids?
I don't know. I haven't seen them. They're at their dad's. Woo!
Okay, so you assume they're healthy?
I think so, yeah.
All right, they're alive anyway. Otherwise, surely you would have heard by now, yeah?
I mean, I'd like to think I would have heard, but yeah. So,
or to be honest, though, who knows, right?
Well,
let's not go into.
No
maybe
comment.
We can. This would probably be pretty. Controversial.
Mm-hmm.
We could do an episode about exes in the future.
Let's do it. Oh, I don't know.
Because my ex and your ex are about as diametrically
opposite.
opposed as you can get in people. Yeah.
Yes, totally.
Yeah. So anyway. And maybe one day they'll listen to it and attack us. But anyway.
Wouldn't that be wonderful? Well, yeah. Although I've sent you messages that he's randomly sent me this week. So
yeah. Entertaining to
they
say
are.
the least. If it wasn't so face slappingly, and when I say forward,
yes,
that kind of thing. Like, what on earth are you? We're not going to go into it.
No.
But the messages that you showed me were just like, what would possess someone to say something like that?
I don't really know. That's
Anyway.
why he's my ex. But how are you?
I'm good. I never had COVID, so
hope you
everything's
don't.
fine. Had a bit of an incident earlier in the week, as you know.
I do.
Billy
yes.
ended up in hospital.
That was a very dramatic message you sent me. I was like, oh my gosh.
But I showed you the photo of
Yeah.
her laying there with a brace on her
Yeah.
neck. Yeah. And now she's kind of just taking things real easy.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think at this point, she's wearing like a travel pillow. It's not doing anything. Like, she had the hospital brace on for like 3 days, but now it's just that security blanket factor.
Yeah.
But, better to be safe than sorry. And when it comes to neck injuries, the hospital will take it really seriously.
That's
so
good.
until like scans are clear and everything's fine, you have to kind of treat it as worst case scenario, which was pretty scary for me.
Yeah.
But I have that kind of fire brigade training in the back of my mind where I was able to just look at it from a really rational and calm perspective. Like, most times when someone's injured, I go into just like first responder mode,
Yeah.
So it's really easy. But anyway, your school holidays are finishing. Everything's going to go back to normal. And we're back here again doing
our
another
thing.
episode. So,
yeah.
catfishing.
Okay, let's do it.
All
Yeah.
right. So,
Are we going to do a definition?
I have a definition
Yeah.
right here in my hot little hands.
Awesome.
So at the cord, I'm going to unplug. All right. So, oh shit! I nearly spilt water everywhere. I'm just going to move that.
Good thinking.
And put
Usually
it over
it's
there.
me who does stuff like that.
You live with children. We both have children, so
There's always
we
stuff happening.
we don't have anyone else to blame.
No,
at the moment.
right?
There's no one in this room. All right, catfishing. Not to be
Okay.
not to be confused with catfisting. And now just to like to satisfy my curiosity, I'm going to actually click on
Please do.
catfisting and see
Please
what that
do.
is. Oh my God. Catfisting, not to be confused with catfishing. Okay. Noodling is fishing or catfishing. Catfisting, is noodling, is fishing for catfish using one's bare hands. You know when they go down, have you seen that? And they get down in the mud and they stick their hands in the holes and the catfish grabs them and they pull them out.
I was picturing something so different.
Oh, shit. All right, yeah. Catfishing. All right, so we've just learnt something. Catfishing.
Excellent.
We're going to go back to catfishing because
Cool.
that's what we're talking about.
Whatever.
Okay, so this is about the online deception activity for the practice of manipulating a cat toy on a string to stimulate a cat into activity. Please see Cat Play and Toys. Just in case people are thinking that's fishing for cats.
Oh my God.
I love the internet. I
Yes.
mean, how helpful is that, right?
So helpful.
Okay.
Also, cat fisting is still like, yeah, okay.
I've seen it. Now I know what it is.
no, same, but yeah.
I wonder if we've got any listeners from the US who were sitting there, whether they live locally or not, sitting there like from the South.
Yeah.
It's fixing you. It's putting your fist in a catfish hole. You know?
Meanwhile, I'm like, what sort of porn is this?
What? Yeah. It's to do with cat suits.
Yeah.
And oh my God.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Okay. Let's just get back on track. So, catfishing is a deceptive activity where a person creates a fictional persona or fake identity on a social networking service, usually targeting a specific victim. The practice may be used for financial gain, to compromise a victim in some way, as a way to intentionally upset a victim, or for wish fulfillment.
Okay.
Catfishing television shows have been produced, often featuring victims who wish to identify their catfishers. Celebrities have been targets, which has brought press attention to catfishing practices. So it was actually, the term actually came from that documentary series, Catfish.
Have you watched it?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
I love it.
So that's Nev Schumann, because he was catfished by a 40-year-old woman who purported to be a 19-year-old girl.
Yeah, it was...
The reason they came up with the term catfish, okay, and it was on the show, is because the husband, of the 40-year-old woman who was catfishing Nev, made the comparison between the woman's behaviour and the mythical use for literal catfish in the shipping of live codfish. The myth is that the cod was shipped with catfish in the same tanks to keep the cod active, ensuring the quality of the cod, whereas when shipped alone, the cod would become pale and lethargic.
Aww.
Yeah, so that myth originated with the fictional writing of Henry Neveson in 1913's Essays in Rebellion and Charles Marriott 1913, The Catfish.
Cool. Okay.
So it's over the subsequent decades, since 2010, it's become popular culture.
And we all know it, and I think anyone who does online dating is very aware of catfishing.
Yeah. So the definition, let's put that down, it's the fake persona. So it's pretending to be someone else on purpose.
So when I originally did this podcast by myself in my lounge room, I talked about like the levels of catfishing. Yeah.
And that's, I think, is like language, because language changes. Like just going for example. Like, you know. So, yeah, I think that, like, the definition of catfish being that it is deliberately creating a fake persona, those lines are blurred a bit. But I still think, and this is something I said at the time when you had the episode, I still think that catfishing needs to be deliberate. But
I think in the end, even by using a filter, that's deliberate.
Yeah, it is.
But wearing sunglasses.
The only thing is, you're not creating a fake persona.
No. No, that's true.
And to me, that then goes into, does that mean that when we go out at night and we dress up in our finery and wear our best makeup,
it's true.
Are we catfishing because we don't look like that when we wake up in the morning or when we're mowing the lawn on Saturdays?
Okay, so you're saying that unless we're like right now, no, probably not even right now. In the morning when I wake up, that's my real me. I've got no makeup, I haven't brushed my hair.
When you haven't changed your appearance in any way, like you get out of the shower in your cleanest, most unaffected way whatsoever, You can say pure if you wish.
Let's go. Yes.
When I'm pure, I was like waiting for the doves
know,
to fly
right?
in, and they bring you your like the bluebirds bring your towel. And
They
you know,
should. I am.
a deer.
Well, my hair today is all like sort of innocent, half up, half down as well. So I do have like a pure sort of element to
So
me.
maybe it was deers and bunnies who
It
took
might
care
have
of that
been,
for you,
yeah.
Snow White. No, but so that was the thing. It is like I get filters can change your bone structure. Ones that just smooth your skin, you know, that's not so bad. But and also is showing your face and not showing your body. Is that catfishing?
Yes, and I'll tell you why. Because a lot of girls, and maybe guys, but in particular girls, will do that angle to show that they're not. And I don't care about what size you are.
What it makes you look like is you're one of those bobblehead dolls where you're
Yeah.
all face and
Yeah.
you've got this or a Funko Pop.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they've
Yeah.
got the big head
And the
then
little-
tiny
yeah.
body. Because you're holding, and I know what you're saying because you're doing that. You're holding the camera up high.
Yeah.
You're looking up at it, so it's looking straight at your face. But then your body is obscured by your head, and you can only see it from the top down. So all you can see is boobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we used to have a friend from the single groups days who when I first met her, I was a bit surprised that she was plus sized because on the singles groups, I assumed she was maybe a size 12. But and to me, that's a form of catfishing.
It is, but I think that people aren't doing it to
Deceive.
deliberately deceive. That's more about insecurity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then that comes down to like how comfortable they are with themselves, which then I don't want to get too critical of people's state of mind when it comes to dating, but wouldn't you think that when you're going into a situation where you're looking for a relationship, that you should try and be as what's the word?
Authentic?
Yeah, authentic, but confident in yourself. Like have a higher sense of self-worth.
I just don't. Who is calling you?
I'm going to answer this.
Okay. You're putting it on speaker?
I'm putting it on speaker. Hi, Anita.
Hi.
Yeah, good. We're recording the podcast right now, and so you're now part of it. How are you?
Oh, great. I found myself a nice meat popsicle last night. It was lovely.
Oh, did you?
All right, we shouldn't call him a meat popsicle. He has a name.
He has a name.
I like that better though.
And how did you meet him?
Oh, Bumble, I believe. I believe it was Bumble, yes.
Okay, cool. All right. Did you have a fun experience?
Yes, it was. I was returned in his chariot this morning at 10:30.
Oh, lovely. Oh, that's good. We're actually recording. We're doing catfishing right now.
You're doing what?
Catfishing.
Oh, catfishing, those cheeky devils, are you?
Yes.
Ooh, well, I'm no good at that. I just tell everybody who I am up front, and then they can just move along if they don't like it.
Do you think that because we were just touching on that being a matter of people's own security and confidence in themselves and knowing who they are, do you think that's because you're the kind of person who just either doesn't give a fuck or you just know who you are and that's all there is to it?
You mean the person who just goes, I'll just jog on, either, like me?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a bit lazy. I'm not going to bother photoshopping myself. You're going to see me eventually anyway.
Yeah.
But also, I suppose if you're catfishing, hang on, they don't see them ever. It's the whole thing's, it's a make-believe thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
With the catfishing, they never actually meet the person.
That's in a way, yeah, but it's also people we were talking about how people do things like use filters or like photograph themselves to misrepresent themselves, and then they do meet someone, and that changes the opinion of the other person because they were like, well, you didn't present yourself as who you are. It's not that, let's say you're overweight and then you show yourself to not be overweight, and then you meet the other person and they're like, oh, hold on a second, this isn't what you look like. They're not necessarily judging you for being overweight. They're just not impressed with the fact that you lied to them. So
you're manipulative. Anybody who's manipulative from the get-go, who wants that? Or the catfishers should hang out together.
That's
They
right.
should.
Yeah. So maybe we should create some of that. Anyway, I'm gonna let you go. I'll give you a call back later. But I just thought while you call, we might as well answer and put you on.
Yeah. I'll tell you about my Scottish meat popsicle later, shall I?
Okay,
I was actually
please.
going to ask you about something about his penis, but I think it would be a bit inappropriate now. So I'll call you back later.
All right, no worries. Bye.
Oh, now I want to know.
We'll find out, and I'll talk about it on next week. Next week. Next minute. On next week's show, we'll talk about Anita's meat popsicle.
Yeah, I look forward to it.
She's got such a great way of describing things. So that is another thing that Anita's raised. A lot of the catfishes in the definition sense of the term have no intention of meeting the person.
No, and they always find so there was a podcast that I was listening to called Dear Bobby, and it's about a woman who was catfished for 10 years. Thought she was in a relationship with this guy, never met him. He'd always find excuses. 10 years. And finally, she just went, I'm going to see him, knocked on the door, and it wasn't, well, it was the real guy, but it wasn't the guy she'd been speaking to. So, and he'd never met her or anything. So
when they met, was that, because I've seen on that show, the catfishing show, where the catfish was reluctant to meet and they were kind of forced into it, but they had actually developed genuine feelings. It's
so the cat, oh my gosh, so it's crazy. So the catfisher had developed these WhatsApp conversations with friends and family that she was part of, Facebook personas, this entire... All fake.
But what about the third parties?
The only third party... Well, no, so the third parties, is in the people that were in the WhatsApp conversations, fake. All fake.
So, but they were like profiles that he'd created. Oh.
Yeah, like his sister and his friends and all these random WhatsApp conversations and Facebook personas. So it was all fake. So he'd been arrested and been living in New York, and then this happened. And so 10 years of her life. Yeah. And then finally she went to see him because he was in Bath or something. And he, I don't even know how it happened, but she knocked on the door. He answered and she's like, oh, no. And then that's when she realised.
So how... Did he give his address, or did she just track him down?
She tracked him down.
Right.
Yeah. So, like, because the question, like, the interviewer was asking, because it was a full, like, sort of documentary podcast, was like, did you guys ever have sex? And she's like, well, we didn't obviously have physical sex, but we had, like, phone sex. And they were like, but did you see him? And she's like, no, he always had his camera off.
Yeah. So that's a red flag, right?
10 years.
Wow.
I know.
See, then that makes me ask questions about both parties and their mental health.
Yes. Like, I wouldn't do that for 10 years.
No.
Like, if you don't want to meet me, no, goodbye.
See, but this is probably another topic for the future. I've spoken to you about attachment theory.
Yeah.
Right. So some people are secure, some people are avoidant, some people are anxious. Right.
Yeah.
So you've got to kind of try and become secure, right? So that you can deal with things when they don't go your way. We'll delve into it in detail, I think, in the future. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
There might be people out there who've never heard of it.
Yeah,
But,
I only heard about it when you told me about it.
I mean, there's a whole book on it.
Yeah.
Or series of books. But it sounds like there's just no level of security in oneself involved in either of these people's situations.
No. I just don't understand how you can go 10 years and never see someone be happy with that as a relationship.
See, you can probably tell by my tone of voice here. I'm a bit flabbergasted by the
Yeah.
whole situation
Oh,
because there's so many things running through my head. Because I know people will go for lengthy periods of time with an online-only relationship.
Yeah, see, I never do that.
They'll video chat. Like some friends of mine met through a video game. So
Yeah, okay.
they were back in the early 2000s. There was a video game called Second Life. And it was basically, you know how you have like Minecraft, for example, where you've got to like build things and collect things to be able to build other things to then be able to mine other things, which can then let you build things, which then let you mine things, which then let you build things. That's it. That's Minecraft in a nutshell.
Yeah.
It just goes on and on and on and on and on. There's no end. You know, it's
like that song.
Yeah, that's it. it's the building and acquiring of things. So Second Life was kind of like that, but there was no creepers to murder and, no sheep to kill. It was just people would go on there and their avatar would like make a shop, for example, or have a little house. Like, what's that game that people play? Animal. What's that called? The farming one.
But I
something
don't know.
Farm. Oh my God.
I don't play video games.
Yeah, but people do, and you've got to. What is that damn thing? It's a Nintendo game. People are going to. It's going to jump into my mind.
Like Roblox?
No. It's like these cute little animals. People. Anyway, I don't know. But so Second Life was like that. You can make a little house, you make little shops, and then people go online and they'll come and interact with your shop and you can chat to people and, just kind of hang out there. So they hung out in Second Life because that's the whole reason it was called Second Life is because...
Is it called Little Friends, Dogs and Cats?
No.
Are you talking about Tamagotchis?
No. Oh my God. I sound 70 right now. There's a game when it's animals and... People are listening to this and screaming at their phones and their devices going, David, you idiot, it's...
Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing.
Okay.
Jesus Christ.
I don't know it.
Yeah, well, I do, and now I feel 100. That's, the thing with the thing and the kids play, And
I'm like, Tamagotchi?
I need a nap. It's like, you're from the 90s? Tamagotchis, Jesus. Anyway, that's a tangent from hell. So they met online in Second Life, and they spent a lot of time hanging out in there. Then that's obviously moved on because like in those days, it was the early days of Facebook and social media, so it would have moved on outside of the internet. But they didn't meet each other. The best they could do was what's a video chat? Skype, I suppose, in those days. They eventually got married.
Wow!
And now they've got a little boy, and they've been married for a long time. But the first part of their relationship started in a video game and they could not meet each other because she lived in Melbourne or Sydney or some other part of the world. And he lived here. And it was a really long period of time. And I'm going to pull it out of thin air and this is just me making a number up. But it was something like a year, 2 years. It wasn't like a few weeks. It was a long time. So they made a commitment, a love commitment.
Wow. Okay.
Long before they met each other and been able to be physical or do anything else.
Do you think because it was before the time of Facebook, it was much more innocent? Like,
oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it was also, I'm using this because they didn't catfish.
No.
Apart from the fact that they had computer avatars and,
That's not catfishing.
They're never going to, they're both not, but they would have sent each other photos and stuff.
Yeah.
But that's not catfishing. I'm just using it as an example of how people will commit to that with an open belief that the person they're talking to is who they're supposed to be.
Well, I'm addicted to 90 Day Fiancé. I'll admit it. I love tacky reality TV.
Okay. I've not heard it.
Okay. So basically, it's based around the whole US marriage visa or fiance visa, where all these people meet online on these random dating apps. Some meet in real life, and then they chat, and then they meet, often like in the Philippines or Russia.
Okay.
And then they come back to America, and they have to marry within 90 days. That's the rules.
Right.
So, but all of these people are only meeting online, and then some will go to like the Philippines or Thailand.
And it's not like Married at First Sight where they're put together by the producer. They have to go and actually.
Yeah, so basically how it works is, so I meet Johnny. Johnny is American. We chat.
Of course, Johnny is American. Yeah.
Fine, he's Belgian. Anyway.
His name would be frickin' Heinz or something if he was Belgian. Anyway, Johnny, you meet
Johnny,
him. Yeah,
I meet him, he's American. We chat for like 6 to 12 months, and then he says, I'm coming to Australia. He comes over for a week. We like are in love. He proposes. He goes back to America. We then apply for this visa, and then I get accepted, and then I go over to America for 90 days, and in that time we'd have to marry. And
so do you win if you marry and you lose if you don't?
No, basically, well, you win like fame, and they seem to all have really good like social media careers. So you win as an influencer.
Yeah,
oh my gosh, I should totally do it.
Anyway, sorry. Go on.
So anyway, all of these, I don't know where this is going, but all of these, obviously, none of them. So there was an incident though where this one guy, he kept going to Russia or the Ukraine, and she'd just never turn up. She'd make it like he did like 6 trips to Russia. Yeah. Or it was the Ukraine. Either way. And then finally she did, and it was her, and she looked like who she said she was, but 6 trips.
5 dates.
Right?
But you met him. That's money too.
I know.
Although the show would have paid for that, I suppose. But in reality, people do that. Like, and that you hear those stories from like the Catfish show is a good example. Is like they keep finding a way to avoid meeting.
Right.
And I think bringing it down from that, because that's the catfishing's origin is people who completely fake who they are. We've given a couple of examples, but bringing it back to people who are just insecure about their appearance, who will then portray themselves visually differently on dating apps, whether it be sunglasses and hats, beards. Although I had a beard for a long time and it had nothing to do with pretending to be someone else. It's just that I was fat and I didn't like people looking at my double chin.
So in a way, you were catfishing your
I was
double
in a
chin.
relationship for 16 years too.
Okay.
So I wasn't catfishing.
No.
I didn't have a reason to. I was just insecure about my appearance because I was obese.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And I also have, and I still have a bit of stubble because I have acne scars. So I hide that even to this day. I'm not catfishing anyone. It's just I don't like the way it looks.
Yeah,
so,
that's fair.
You know, but I'm not. Yeah. So I think, beards. I have a bit of a.
Okay, you'll let them slide.
Yeah.
Okay,
but
hats. So I dated a guy for about 3 months. It was just as COVID was.
Sorry, can I just go back? You said you let them slide. I don't date people with beards. So just like clean shaven, please. It's just a personal preference. Anyway, you met this guy, hat, sunglasses. Sorry.
Shut up. You know what I mean.
Yeah. Go on.
Okay, so it must have been just around COVID or the first lot of COVID and sort of, we done the whole craziness around August. Life is getting back to normal around September, October.
2021?
2020. So early.
So like real early.
Yeah, so at the end of the first craziness where.
Okay, yep.
Yeah. Anyway, so on like an idiot, so it must have been Bumble. On every photo, he had sunglasses and some form of hat. And when I met him in real life, we must have met outside. He had sunglasses and a hat on. And then the next time, then I finally met him, not met him properly, and he still had a beanie on, but he took his sunglasses off because it was nighttime. And it wasn't until like the third or fourth date when I realised he was fully bald. I know.
Okay.
And then it totally changed my opinion of him because I just didn't find him attractive.
Yeah, so, I mean, I wouldn't... No, you got to... That's important.
Yeah.
Because, like, beard, for example, you just wouldn't swipe on a guy with a beard if you're not into beards.
Exactly.
You wouldn't swipe on a guy with a beard and then 3 weeks later go, how about you shave your beard?
Right, yes.
So, therefore, a guy with no hair, if you're not into
Which
a guy
I'm not.
with no hair...
Yeah.
Some people are.
And that's fine.
Go for
Good
your
for
life.
them.
But you want to know that.
Yes.
It's just like you want to know if someone listens to country.
Really,
Like,
you do.
It's,
Yeah.
it's important.
Yes,
Because
because it's
I don't
terrible
want to listen to
music.
country.
Exactly. So I should stay away from Texan accents then, really.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. Although I do like barbecue, so get yourself a Texan boyfriend and we can hang out.
Okay,
So,
but he
yeah.
can never listen to country music.
We'll find a way to make it
Okay,
work.
we'll
'cause
work around that.
Food will override that. It's
Okay. For you? Okay.
Yeah, for me.
Noted.
Yeah.
Who cares about me?
Sorry, anyone you date, it's about me. It is. It is
Yeah.
important because that in its sense, even though it's not catfishing by the definition of the term being deliberately deceptive in order to gain something, you are still deceiving someone because of your own insecurities. You think no one's going to date me if I'm bald. Well, yes, someone will.
Yeah.
It's just you're narrowing your playing field, and so what?
But it's better to be honest. Like, I should have known every photo, and now I know if every photo has like some form of hat or beanie, I know that they're, and that's fine.
Oh, and even I know that, like growing up, like mates of mine who wear hats all the time, a lot of them do it because they don't have hair.
Yeah.
I've also got other friends who couldn't give a crap. They just shave their heads because
And that's
they're going
great.
bald.
They do a Bruce Willis. Fantastic.
Yeah. And you know what? One of my bald friends is about to get married. Another one of my bald friends is already married.
And it doesn't
So
matter.
2 out of 2 bald men that I know have partners.
There you go. And a lot do. Like Bruce Willis has been married to quite a few attractive women, Demi Moore being one of them.
Yep.
So I don't,
Money helps.
it does help a lot. But I don't have I mean, look, I have to be truthful when I see, like, not that I'm on dating apps at the moment, but when I see a bald man, I usually tend to swipe left. I
Yeah.
just don't find it attractive.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
Yeah, but it's still the same. It's still these things that you mentioned on the episode you did by yourself. The way that people portray themselves when you're unable to see anything else for yourself. It is, it's misdirection. It's deceptive.
It is.
And that's the biggest problem.
I think so. And I just remember every time I looked at him after that, so I think I went on a couple more dates with him, I just couldn't look at him. Like, and in the end, I had to message him and say, I'm sorry, I just don't want to see you anymore.
But I've spoken to women who have been dating guys or met guys that they've met either through the internet or whatever, and then they meet the person in public, and they're not misrepresenting themselves. They meet the person, and then after a while of talking to them or even meeting someone in public, the guy says something like, you know, if you could just control your eating or maybe do some more exercise or just like, you know, because they think that's a nicer way of saying if you weren't fat, you know, but if you weren't so fat, you'd be pretty. And like, what? I think we've discussed this in an episode before. That is not a compliment, mate.
No.
You can't say to someone, you'd be pretty. Like, if you could just lose some weight. Why do we think women then won't show that they're overweight?
Exactly.
That's why.
Yeah. I've had 2 other things happen, not the body weight thing, but I've had guys say, oh, for an older woman, you're attractive. Okay, thanks. So I'd be unattractive if I was younger, or
See, I've had that as well. You look really good for your age, and I'm like, how about you look really good?
Yeah, end of
Why
story.
does there have to be a qualifier in that statement? That also makes me think of, like, we're sitting here surrounded by musical equipment, right? Children who play instruments are no more impressive to me than adults who play instruments, because it takes the same amount of commitment and dedication for a child to do it as it does for an adult to do it.
Yeah.
It's actually easier for a child to learn to do something, because when you're a child, you're learning everything.
Yeah. It's like a child that learns a language. Same thing.
Yeah, so I saw a video once. Sorry, go off track, but it's in the same way of, like, people putting qualifications on things, which then makes people feel insecure about stuff, which then may make them misrepresent themselves. Like, so there's this 9-year-old girl, and she's playing the bass, and she was playing like a Stevie Wonder funk tune, and she's slapping it, and it was good. I mean, it was good.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like mind-blowingly the best thing you'd ever seen good. It was good. And people are like, oh my God, she's so good. She's 9 years old. She's so good for her age. And I'm like, how about you just judge her based on other bass players? Like, let's say, how long's this child been playing the bass? She's been playing the bass for 5 years. So if you now get a 35-year-old person who's been playing the bass for 5 years and you compare them to each other, are you going to then be, oh my God, that 35-year-old is so good? No, you're not. But they've both got exactly the same amount of bass playing experience, yet for some reason you have to give them little kid points when they've got all the time in the world to learn, because they don't have a job and a partner and all this other thing.
And they've probably got their parents like on them going, practice every day.
And they're also supple minds and flexible bodies where you can learn things. So don't give people little kid points just because they did something.
I agree.
It doesn't make any sense. So, and then that's the same kind of thing. It's like, oh, you'd be, if you weren't so fat, you'd be pretty.
If you were 10 years younger, you could.
So, of course, cycling back around, of course people misrepresent themselves because they're insecure.
Yeah, which is why you see a lot of, particularly women and maybe some men, but women put those filters on to look younger.
Yeah.
Which is so silly, because then when you meet in life, you're clearly not 30.
Did you ever see that advertising campaign years ago with that little girl with a pair of scissors about to cut a fat roll off her body?
Oh, no.
So it's like a 5-year-old girl, or just like a little girl, and she's sitting there like with no shirt on, and she's got a pair of scissors, like fashion, and she's got a fat roll, and she's about to cut it off.
Oh, my God. No, I've never seen that.
And it's just in black and white. And
oh, wow. Everyone is calling you today.
That's just my alarm reminding me to have some protein.
Get that protein into you.
So, and it's basically, I can't remember the caption, but it's about the fashion industry and
how disgusting it is.
The media and like trying to make people think that skinny is the only way to be. So it's like, and this is the visualization of a little child going, well, I've got a fat roll, I better cut it off.
So sad, isn't it?
That's where it comes from. There's so much pressure from society to be perfect, to be what people expect. So they do this. They go online, they create face versions of, not so extreme as to like pretend they're somebody else for 10 years.
Yeah.
Because
that's next level. Yeah.
Massive mental illness that I can't even think about. But this side of it, that's why they do it. That's why people are out there taking these high selfies. That's why they're wearing the hats. It's like they're afraid of who they are.
Yeah, well, I mean, because online is so awful. It's like I know when, like on the single groups, even when they say, oh, put a selfie up, the pretty girls always get the most likes, and the bigger girls or the not so pretty girls get nothing. And it makes me really,
yeah. And I mean, and I had that experience on the singles group where I contributed in those a couple of times. It was like, put a selfie up. So I'm like, all right, so I put a selfie up. And I would get all these likes and love hearts. I'm not saying I'm better looking than a lot of guys, but on there, I was nice to people. Yeah. So I think that goes for a long way. And I'd get people that send me private messages and stuff, and other men got really angry at me because women liked me. I'm like, I'm not doing anything. I'm just not being a dick.
Yeah. Whereas I just put selfies up with me with vampire filters.
That's see, let's touch on it. That's okay. If you want to like go into your Snapchat and get those ones that make you have huge bug eyes or turn you into a hamster, That's fine. No one's thinking that you're a catfish for doing that.
No,
But
I
it's
just did that because I hated all the
Yeah.
the pretty ones only get everything.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like, is there any filters for biceps? That'd be cool.
That would be cool. There's none.
We need to come up with a bicep filter because guys would be into that.
They would.
Everyone loves
they don't have to go to the
biceps.
gym.
Or inject synthol.
Oh, no. My oldest was telling me about it. He saw it on YouTube, the guy who's done that.
Yeah.
And like, he's like, why would they do that? Why don't they just go to the gym? I'm like, good question.
Yeah. They're insecure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's the underlying theme of the entire thing is why do people catfish? Because they're not secure about who they are. You know.
Sad, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've told, well, I on the original catfishing episode, I told my old man catfishing story.
Yeah. You want to tell that again?
Yeah, it's a fun one.
I can comment
It
because
is
it's
a fun
hilarious.
one.
Yeah.
Okay, so I met a guy on, I think it was Tinder. It's at least 2 years.
Can we give him a name?
Let's call him Rob.
Rob.
Rob?
Yep.
No. Let's call him Nick.
Okay. Nick.
Okay. So I met Nick. We messaged. He was 35. I must have been 37. So it was a few years ago. Everything was going well, getting on really well. Just messaging, no phone or anything like that. And then we decided to catch up for a drink. And we went to a Benny's in Freo. Have you been to Benny's?
No.
Oh, I used to go there all the time.
Okay.
Anyway, so I went, I was sitting there and I bought a drink sitting there by myself, and then a man walks up and sits down and says, "Oh, hi, how are you?" He was about my dad's age. He was about 65. And I
Okay.
said, "Oh, hi. Sorry, who are you?" And he's like, "Yes."
Can I ask, like,
Yeah.
how was he dressed? Was he dressed like an old man, or was he dressed like a man who was pretending he was 35?
I'd say in between. Like he wasn't dressed like
Because
like
I
my
dress
dad.
like a man who's pretending to be 22. Let's face it. Like,
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah. Okay. I'd say he was dressing younger than he wasn't dressing like how my dad dressed because he was the same age as my dad. So yeah, he was dressing younger
So
than
he
his
didn't
age.
turn up in like a polo shirt and shorts with like New Balance on, because that's dad in my mind. Yeah.
No, he didn't. He
'Cause
dressed.
that's going out dad. Or he could have turned up in stubbies and a singlet with a flannel hat, and that's my dad with thongs on. That's like weekend dad.
That's cool. That's
yeah.
cool though. Yeah. So no, this was more like funky 35-year-old, like trying to with sort of like a paisley style shirt and that style. Like that sort of style.
Because I think this said a lot. I mean, I don't want to tangent the story too much, but it says a lot about him because he's obviously he's turned up and he's older. But the important part of the conversation of the story is it's not that he was older than his photos. It was that
That he hadn't. What?
that he wasn't actually the guy in the photos, was he?
No.
Yeah.
So okay, yeah. So he says, I'm just like, who are you? Sorry, what? And when you just feel like you're in this other, like you're not in reality anymore. It was really weird. And I said, I don't. Who are you? And he's like, oh, I'm Nick. And I'm like, what?
No, you're not.
Yeah. And he's like, I'm Nick. And I'm like, no. And I showed him his photos. I'm like, that's Nick. And he's like, oh yeah, that's my nephew.
See, and that's the thing. It's not even that he grabbed a photo of himself from 20 years ago.
Which
and
I've
used
had that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen that as well. But it's also like you're on Tinder or Bumble or something and you see someone's photo and you're like, for one, that haircut's from 2003.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Secondly, the aspect ratio of your photo, although on those they're always square, aren't they? But
They
you can
are.
see like that's crop. You're like, that's a digital photo of a printed photo.
Yes.
That's from a time when we used to print photos. Nobody prints photos anymore.
No one does. Yeah, no, this is different.
Sepia toned and shit. Yeah.
Oh, the 1800s, yeah. So
yeah.
all right, and I'm like, no, this isn't you. And he's like, yeah, oh, no, that's my nephew. And I'm like, yeah, so it's not you. And he goes, oh, but we're here now. We might as well have a drink.
But what did he give an explanation?
No.
It just was like, oh, you're right. That's not me.
Maybe
It's a dog. That's my dog, Buzzy.
Same thing. Yeah. I don't know. At that point, I was in so much shock, and I probably should have been like, well, why did you do this? Why are you pretending? But I was just so shocked that he would even be like, it's okay. We'll just have a drink. It'll be fine. And I was like, no, this is not fine.
Not fine in any way.
Like I said, I'm leaving. And he's like, and then he sort of got not aggressive, but just like was a bit sort of like, come on, it's fine. Like you lied to me anyway. I'm like, no, you're not who you say. You're not who you
That's
are.
the bit they don't get. It's not that you don't like who's turned up.
Yeah.
It's that you don't like that he's full of shit.
Yeah.
It's the lying part that's no good. That's what people don't like. It's not that you're not skinny or that you don't have butterflies permanently attached to your face.
So pretty.
You're lying.
Exactly.
Yeah. So no, in a rational sense right now, hindsight's 2020, it's all well and good for you and I to sit here and go, why did he do that?
Yeah.
But at the time, you just were like, I'm getting out of here, right?
Yeah. And so I walked straight to the bar staff and I said, that guy's, I don't think I used the word catfishing. I just said, that guy has lied about who he is. He's not who he is. I'm on like a date and I'm leaving and I'm just letting you know. And they're like, oh, no worries. Okay. And then I left and I called a friend and I talked to her the whole way to the car because I was just so stressed and got in the car and drove home. So,
and see that's super bold, but it's such a removal from like the origins of catfish with the people who would just string people on, don't want to meet them because people use catfishing. One of the reasons was financial gain, where you're like, oh, like I'd love to come and see you, but I need, $200.
Yeah,
oh, you're a different number to me. I like you kind of come in slow. Because I need to repair my car, and if I can't do that, I can't drive there. And then you give them the money to repair their try, and it's like, oh yeah, I need this, and eventually they get all your money.
Yeah,
but there's also other issues when it comes to catfishing, and
would you like me to read the dangers of catfishing?
The dangers of catfishing potentially was what I'm alluding to. Yeah.
Okay, so there have been incidents where catfishing has led to murders and kidnapping. Mm-hmm. It can be used to attract a person from the internet and allow them to meet them in person. The person catfishing can lure a victim to a place to be kidnapped or hurt in another way. Catfishers may also show up at the victim's home unexpectedly to abduct them. Catfishing has also been a new way for sexual predators to interact with their victims and possibly harm them, creating another threat. These sexual predators use fake identities to talk to teens, allowing them to get close to them so that the victim will trust them. Okay, so...
All right, so that's, I think, one of the big things to think about there is that's why people get so upset about it, because it's not just... oh, my heart's broken because I fell in love with Nick and Nick turned out to make... You didn't, but you know what I mean.
No, but I spent some time talking, getting to know him. Look, I tell you what, he was very good at seeming like a 35-year-old.
Yeah,
but then my question is, was his nephew in on it?
Yeah, or was it like a Cyrano de Bergerac type thing where he's like... He was actually the nephew you were talking to all along, and then when it came push to shove, the nephew was like, I can't go. I have social anxiety or whatever.
Yeah.
Uncle Bolly, can you go for me and pretend you're me? And so Uncle Bolly's like, yeah, I don't know where I got Bolly from. But
it's an interesting name.
Yeah. Uncle Bolly goes along like, yes, I am Nick.
And then I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah, fuck. And so Nick's at home like,
having full social anxiety. Let's go with that. A bit like Five Date Guy is,
He's dead.
Yeah.
Poor 5 Date Guy. I hope he one day listens to the podcast and feels like
I should share it to him. I should share the ghosting, just message him randomly, be like, hey, this is my podcast.
Might find this interesting.
Yeah, have a listen.
Because now the small handful of the world that actually listens to this podcast, and hopefully more people moving forward, share it with your friends.
Yeah, make sure you follow and subscribe, because that gets us out there more.
Please do that.
Yeah.
And we will on On what's the platform?
Spotify?
Spotify, old man brain again. That thing with the musicy thing, love. What's that called?
That's the one.
Sorry. You can click like on YouTube. There's a little notification bell, so when we release an episode, you'll actually get notified. Yeah, so do that.
Yeah, and Apple does that as well, and we're also on Google Podcasts too.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And of course, you can go to our Instagram and talk to us there, and or send us an email at skyeanddamo
At
gmail.com. Actually, my mum listens to the podcast.
love
Hi,
that.
Mum.
Hi, Damo's
and
mum.
she messaged me the other day, and she's like, "Oh, I can't remember what we're talking about, but it was to do. Maybe we're on the phone. Anyway, she'd said something about like finding the podcast. Oh, it didn't work. That's right, because she was listening to it by clicking on the link in her newsfeed on Facebook and then going to Spotify and it plays.
Yeah.
And it didn't work. And I'm like, oh, it must be something wrong with the link. I replaced the link. But then I said to her, why don't you just click follow on Spotify?
Yeah.
And then it's all there. And she's like, oh, what do you mean? So I walked her through. And now my mum's really tech savvy too. She's listening to it on her iPad. So I'm just like, well, you just go here and click follow, and then while I was at it, I was like, oh, and click on that little bell. And she's like, all right. I said, so now you'll be notified. But
That's so cool.
do that. So I think we've covered everything, really.
I think so.
And
yeah.
and finishing with that statement you just read about the dangers of catfishing is the main reason why it's super dodgy.
It's very dodgy.
Right. So, and that is why people get upset about it. People get their hearts broken. People can lose money. People could potentially die, right? Or be sexually assaulted or whatever. It's not just that they're annoyed at you for being fat when your photo was not you being fat.
It's just that you've lied to them. You've deceived them.
And potentially it's dangerous to
Yeah.
lie. So be yourself. If you are going into the dating world and you can't be yourself, maybe you shouldn't be there.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Work on being secure.
Yeah.
So anyway, so speaking about the social media, please share this with your friends. Talk about it. Tell people. Contribute.
Yeah.
Suggest.
Send us messages.
Oh, speaking of, would you like to next week we talk about attachment theory?
Let's do it. Yeah. Okay.
We might need to do some actual research on it because it is
I'll do some reading.
Psychological. It's a psychologist who wrote the book.
Okay.
I've read the entire book.
I started reading it when you told me about it because I think this was after the whole American situation and you were like, read this book. And I sort of went, so I'll reread it and work out my personality.
My ex-fiance put me onto it because she realised that she had a anxious attachment style. And then she was like, she's avoidant, sorry. And so she contacted me about like a year or so after we broke up, or we started chatting. And then she's like, I just want to pour this to your attention to kind of like, so you can understand what happened in our relationship, because when we broke up, I had no freaking idea why she couldn't talk to me or why she changed her mind. And like, she felt that she'd kind of, she felt like she had to go with the decisions that she'd made by like where she was like, oh, I want to be your wife. Let's get married. And so I'm like, sweet, proposed.
Yeah.
And then that's not what she wanted. But by the time she realised that's not what she wanted, she was too deep in there.
Yeah.
And I was being too nice for her to...
Did you guys start planning a wedding?
Nah.
Oh, lucky.
No. It was like straight away.
Okay.
No, but it was like... Yeah, there was I was kind of being too lovey and it was too much for her because she was freaked out. But anyway, we'll go into the details of the attachment theory next week. And I'm sure that upon reading that book and maybe for some preparation homework for the listeners is maybe track down the book. It's just called Attachment.
It's on Audible as well.
Yeah, I got it from Google Play.
Yeah.
And it's like $14 or something.
Yeah.
And it comes with a little checklist and a thing. And so
questionnaire
do
and
some
everything.
preparation, and then we can talk about it next week, and then it blows your mind.
Yeah.
And it really helps moving forwards with who you are as a person, because it's like, this is well-researched scientific theory. And yeah, it's quite interesting, because we all fall into one of those three categories, or kind of bleed through a couple
Yeah,
of
I think I'm a combination of two, but let's discuss that next week.
So that'll be it. We'll wrap it
Awesome.
up. Thank you very much for making the trip all the way north here. It's
Look.
good to see that you've recovered from your ordeal.
The fun, like, world of COVID.
Yeah.
It's funny when you say it to people now, they just all take a step back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
COVID.
Yeah.
It's like I said to Billy when you were coming, she's like, but doesn't she have COVID? I'm like, she had COVID. It's okay.
Yeah, I'm not
She's
gonna
in the
spread my
clear
germs,
now.
yeah.
It's like, oh God, all right. But did you see that? Just one more thing before we go. I think it was a meme. I'm not sure. It's obviously not a true. It's one of those, like, don't believe everything you've written on the internet. But it said, if you haven't, it was supposedly a South Korean germ doctor, whatever they're called, pathologist,
Yeah,
whatever.
immunologist.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the guy.
Yeah.
Germ doctor.
Oh,
Me smart man, no big words.
that's what I'm here for.
Yeah. So the germ doctor said, if you haven't got COVID by now, it's just because you don't have any friends.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Or you don't have 6-year-old children.
Yeah. Like, we know. God, it's like when they first start going to daycare and stuff, and they come home with
so
every
sick.
disease under
Yeah.
the sun, and then you get it, and you're like, and people are like, oh, it's to build up their immune systems. Like, yeah, but I have to deal with the snotty nose. Yeah.
The girl that I work with in marketing at my work, she's got I think he's 15 months now, and she's got an older little girl. But when she came back from maternity leave, every week she'd be going home because he'd be getting sick. Yeah.
They do that, and some kids get sicker than others. Anyway,
Cool.
Let's wrap
awesome.
it.
Let's do it. Yeah.
all right,
See
bye.
you next week. Bye.
Thank you for listening to In My Lounge Room. Intro music written and performed by Damien McKay. This week's outro song was performed by Damo's band 12 Inch Shifter. Words and music written by Damien McKay.